director of the India Foundation, another influential think tank. Captain Bansal, look, let's be very specific here. When Biden says you're making a difference, he's referring to the manner in which the Prime Minister has led the nation. I presume, I'm not quoting out of context here, the whole statement if you look at. So can we discount the leader from the quality of leadership? That's all I'm asking.
See, firstly, when Mr. Sanjay Jha and Mr. Kulkarni says that a foreign policy is a nation's foreign policy, I agree. It's a nation's foreign policy, and the respect that you command in the international committee stems both from the leader's quality as well as a nation's standing in the Committee of Nations. So when Prime Minister goes and he is respected, it is both because of the nation's standing as well as the leader's standing. You have to grant foreign policy as an act of continuity. But you have to grant it to Prime Minister Modi that he has actually reached out to certain new eras, like South Pacific, the Pacific Island Forums. Did any Prime Minister before Prime Minister Modi reach out to these countries where we had enormous number of Indian ethnic communities living? Countries like Fiji, we had numerous coups. We could do nothing. In fact, he reached out. The Central Asia, the amount of reach that we have done, in fact, reaching out. And the reason why today Papua New Guinea and Fiji have actually accorded him the highest awards, the national awards to Prime Minister Modi, actually goes because these countries recognize that he has reached out to them. And today India has emerged as a credible, reliable partner. In fact, it is an alternative both to China as well as to the Western Alliance, which was led by Australia and New Zealand, which would often pontificate to these countries. So India emerges as a credible partner. And I agree completely with Sushant Sareen that it is not an era to lead South or be part of the Western democracies or be part of this. A country has to look after its interests first. Yes, in the process of doing this, we should emerge as a leader of the global South. Yes, very much. We should try and do that. But that should be in pursuance of our interests. And I think that you have to grant it that Prime Minister Modi has really struggled and established India today in the global committee. As Sushant said, during COVID, despite being a developing country, the manner in which we showed magnanimity and reached out to those countries which were on the margins of the society, which had no wherewithal, has actually raised India's stature in a very, very great way. And that is one of the reasons why you are seeing praise. I agree, when foreign leaders meet, each praises others. But you have not seen a foreign leader touch somebody else's feet. I think I have not seen it in my career. I think that was something. That was a gesture which went out of the way. It was out of the way for a prime minister of a country to go and touch feet. Showing firstly the recognition of Indian culture, Indian ethos, and I think the great admiration that he had for the leader.
Okay, interesting. I just want to, before we wrap up,
Rahul, can I make one point?
If anyone wants to make another point, it'd be welcome.
Yeah, I want to make a fresh point.
Yeah, just one second. Mr. Jha, I just want to bring you back to this. You said that, India hadn't sort of taken a hard enough line on Ukraine and the invasion. This is what Mr. Zelensky said to the Prime Minister, and I just want to quote, "I thank India for supporting the territorial integrity and sovereignty of our country, in particular at the sites of international organizations and for providing humanitarian aid to Ukraine," unquote. Do you believe that this statement was made out of a sense of disproportionate... Excuse me? Were you saying something?
Rahul, I want to make two short points.
No, but I just want you to respond to this.
I'll answer your question.
Why would Mr. Zelensky be saying all of this when you have said, and of course you're speaking for the opposition tonight, that, look, India hasn't really come out there and stood by Ukraine?
Right.
So it's just a quick question.
Yeah, my simple answer to you is this, and it again adds to what I said earlier. When you meet in these international forums, you're not going to point fingers at somebody. And because India has stuck to that ambiguous, ambivalent stance that says that I will not support a human rights violation against Russia or war crimes against Russia.
I think,
want to even
Sanjay
condemn
Jha,
the
I think
invasion.
that's inaccurate.
I mean, this is nothing,
That's,
but
you know,
this is
let
nothing
me tell
but
you, sir,
I call it as
that-
a gobbledygook, and the world knows that.
I can give you several instances.
Anyway, can I make the 2 points I wish to make, Rahul? Because I think that is something that we need to discuss.
No, one
here.
second.
Very quickly.
One second.
I'll take 5
Let me
seconds,
just
very
first.
quickly.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just
give me 5
know 1
seconds and
second,
I'm
please,
done.
sir. I just give me 30 seconds. Look,
Okay.
India slammed the Bucha massacre
That's right.
at the United Nations. I think maybe Sanjay ji, you have forgotten that. That was a pretty bold stand to take, given the fact that India today is very dependent on Russia in different realms. And look, I am not a critic of that. I think that if India has to serve its own interests, there are certain things it has to do. And every foreign country, even at the height of a crisis, has exercised that will, where they have come across perhaps a little bit speaking with a forked tongue. But that has to be done sometimes in national interests. We know
I agree with that.
the Iran-Contra scandal. We have seen the double speak during the height of the Cold War and at several different forums by the United States. I mean, look at the way the United States suddenly dumped Afghanistan. And this statement about the Bucha massacre, etc., viewers, has been made in a multilateral forum, even though that forum no longer serves the interests of bridging the gap when countries are sort of at each other's throat. And let me also tell you, the Russian foreign minister warned us that abstaining from a vote on Russia at UNHRC would be taken negatively by the Russians, and we abstained. And this is towards the end of 2020. Sergei Lavrov, as you know, the foreign affairs minister of Russia, had come to India and said this. So we have been independent in our approach to the conflict in Ukraine. We've served our interests. We've also served the interests of peace, and we have maintained a certain position on the moral high ground. So I just want to wrap out of this because, unfortunately, I've run out of time, viewers. But look, we need to look at this holistically. Yes, I do believe that I think Mr. Kulkarni and I think also Mr. Sareen had said, let's not go gaga over any of the praise that comes our way, but let's also then contextualize it and put it in context. So this is very crucial.
In a phone call to President Putin, Prime Minister Modi said that it can only be dialogue that can resolve the Ukraine conflict.
Okay. I think we made that point. We've established that. Let's not interrupt. Okay. We've established that point. I need to move on, viewers.